how can this old game have more charm than this? Think of the first game you remember playing. How does it look like in your memory? Were the graphics good? How did you feel when you finished playing it? The games we played as children weren't just good. They somehow shaped us into who we are today. And of course, where there's memories, there's companies trying to take advantage of you. Cue remakes. Remakes are popular, no doubt. They flicker the flame of our childhood passion, but they can't seem to set it back ablaze. So why do remakes fail to capture that feeling we felt as children? One reason is nostalgia, but I think the real answer lies elsewhere. I think there's something deeply rotten with remakes. I'll explain how Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown turned the serious, gritty gaming franchise into a childish anime joke, and in the process, butchered one of my favorite childhood gaming memories. Remember trailers? Your child brain loved them. And isn't it interesting how you were never disappointed with trailers as a child? That's because child brain was pretty stupid. Now you're much smarter, so you scrutinize every frame and doom scroll Reddit days before release, trying to find at least one person to confirm your negative bias. You know the trailers are a vertical slice of cake you'll never get to eat. When I first saw the Lost Crown trailer, the neurons were firing in all directions. It was cool. I mean, just look at the drip. With a peppy soundtrack, euphoric visuals, and birds getting fucking murdered, my finger found its way to the wishlist button. Before I could click it, I saw the title screen popped up. Oh. This is a Prince of Persia game? And was there a TikTok voice inside my Persia?
My light cannot shine beyond the place of its beginning.
Look, I'm not responsible with money, but ain't no way in hell I'm paying $70 for the deluxe version. I'll just subscribe to Ubisoft Plus and knock the sucker out in a week for $16.99. One thing better about 2024 is that the internet is much faster. Okay, we're in! Wait, what's this? See, in Prince of Persia, you could wall run. You could also turn back time. Those were like its pivotal game mechanics. That's what Prince of Persia is known for. Here, those skills aren't present and are mostly window dressing. Let's look at this dash. You unlock it and he does the wall run animation. But he can do it anywhere, even if there's no wall. Why is he doing the wall run if there's no wall to run on? Don't get me wrong, it's a cool detail and an homage, but it feels like I'm missing that visceral experience. The original felt like a guy-defying physics. It didn't feel like a game mechanic, but a natural way to progress the world, an extension of you, a parkour performance. Like, you didn't need to shimmy along the wall, you just did this. Woo! The new isn't cool, it's just a press of a button. Okay, but surely they brought the rewind back. Kinda, but not really. Used to be able to hold a button and your magic dagger quick dial Doc Brown, who sent you back a couple of seconds. You got hit? No problem. You fell into a pit? Hell yeah, buddy. You asked the girl out and she rejected you? That's the ticket. Now, a similar power requires active planning ahead. Think about it. To turn back time, you need to plan ahead? It's like giving me ice cream, but you take the cream part and I'm just left with ice. So the new prince can't run on walls and he can't turn back time. So what can he do? He can jump, he can attack, he can charge, he can parry, he can yeah! So, is this better? Yes and no. It's great to have so many options at your disposal. You can really shadow no jutsu these annoying harpies. And I don't care if it's not realistic, parrying enemies 100 times bigger than you is always going to feel satisfying. But the balance of combat is lopsided. You have all these talismans that make you incredibly overpowered, and I didn't mind that. I enjoyed mix and matching broken combinations to turn into an unstoppable force of nature. My only criticism is that most of the amulets increase your combat strength, but don't really help with platforming. And that's a shame, because platforming is definitely the more interesting and challenging of the two. Let me illustrate my point. This is how I fought enemies at the start. This is how I fought enemies at the end. This is platforming at the start. This is platforming at the end. The combat doesn't significantly change, or evolve, or really do anything. If you master it by the second boss, those skills will carry you to the end of the game. A DMC-style mechanic to increase your style meter would hit the spot, because there's genuinely so many cool moves to pull off. I mean, just look at this. Okay, let's touch base. Chakram is cool. In general, the upgrades are pretty nifty. You have the bow, and I mean, bows are freaking sick. I could dash, with a dash of salt. The dimensional claw is a straight up black hole. Clairvoyance allows you to enter an alternate dimension. Don't tell my landlord, that's where I keep the cats. Double jump, come on, this should be unlocked by default. Fabric of Time is a cool whip slingshot thing. The upgrades are generally interesting, and they work well in a Metroidvania type setting. They make navigating much easier, and you really feel the prince's power grow as you progress the story. Cool shit, but that's not the only thing that grows. You buy map expansions from this child. I'm only paying 50 shards for this? Bro, this is daylight robbery. I'm a tourist. Charge me more. And with the ever-growing map and scenery, you also get a feel for the music. It's so good. Mantrix and Garrett Coker perfectly encapsulated the atmosphere, and if I had to give a gold medal to one art department, it would be the music. Good job, guys. Oh, wow, incredible. Wow. Good job, guys. You really outdid yourself. And if music gets gold, the silver medal goes to the boss fights. Let's try something simpler. Nah, this is too easy. This is what I'm talking about. The first big boss is Jahandar. Right before you fight it, there's a lore entry written by a simp that reads, "With the body of a lion, the face of a human, and the tail of a scorpion, Jahandar has always devoured men." Sounds scary. I was curious, so I looked it up, and this guy would be labeled a manticore according to Persian mythology. I also didn't know where to include this in the script, so I'll just read it from Wikipedia. Most manuscripts do not bother detailing the scorpion tail and simply draw a long cat's tail. Scorpion tails are objectively cooler. I mean, just look at this. 6-segment exoskeleton filled with hatred and venom that ends in a hollow endpoint. Versus a with the fluffy quitty tail. Come on! Okay, back to topic. The ancient scholars did the Manticore real dirty. I mean, they depicted them like this. But the brilliant minds at Ubisoft reimagined it as this beast. It's doped up. Also, hallelujah, it doesn't look like a cat and it actually has a scorpion's tail. Now die. When the tablets aren't hyping up the ancient beasts, they're fleshing out the world. Here and there, you'll be exposed to the text that sounds like an old Englishman choking on a grape. The antiquated city of Persepolis had been hot infested, with the locusts devouring the emissaries the Shamar had brought him overseas. But all in all, I really enjoyed reading the entries. I find them annoying in most of the games because they break the flow of gameplay, but in this one, they felt like a good respite between intense combat sections, or as a nice reward for a well-maneuvered platforming section. I also gotta talk about my boy, and by far the most prominent mythical figure in the game, the Simorgh. In Persian, it literally means 30 birds, and 30 birds is better than one. That's just math. There's a piece of Persian literature by Attar of Nishapur called The Conference of Birds. This is what he has to say about Simorgh. He reigns in undisturbed omnipotence, bathed in the light of his magnificence. No mind, no intellect can penetrate the mystery of his unending state. In legend, Simorgh is a divine deity of incredible power. In the game, it represents the fabric of time, space, life, and death. It is the figure that revives you. It is the feather of the Simorgh that grants you powers. And it is Simorgh that gives Sargon a pep talk right before you face the final boss. But before we get to the final boss, it seems like our main enemy Varam is up to no good. He intends to revive his daddy. The legendary King Darius walks this earth once again. And he's the guy that trapped Mount Kaf, that's the place we played the game in by the way, in a time curse. In a Dark Souls-esque plot twist, you face King Darius right before the final boss. It's a pretty simple fight, but it achieves its climactic purpose. See, King Darius is the guy that built the world you've just spent over 20 hours in. There are countless missives and tablets addressed to him and talking about him. You're fighting the creator of the empire that has now been lost to time. That's right, but every king needs to retire at some point, and once he does, again, you walk in on Bayram being rude to Simorg. He wants our powers. He can take them from our cold, dead, featherless hands. In an epic show, he transforms into a golden anime protagonist. And look, I don't know if purple guys with edgy wings is lore or Persia accurate, but it slaps. This clears every other fight by a clear mile. It's engaging, it tests your combat and platforming skills, it's visually stunning, and it's gonna send half of you into an epileptic shock. But do you know what's cooler than one anime boss? 2 anime bosses! But sorry Varam, you're not the only anime protagonist in these parts. Simorg juices Sargon up, and as their bodies are injected with pure crystallized dopamine, Sargon's body is enveloped in an electric Super Saiyan aura. This is one of the coolest final fights of any game I have ever played. But it's not Prince of Persia. In the script I wrote, I mimicked my exact experience with the game. My initial skepticism, how it eventually won me over with its imagery and music, how satisfied I felt fighting the final boss. It had to overcome an impossible obstacle. It had to beat my expectations that had been growing in me since I was a child. My memories, now a flourishing tree of hope and excitement, were growing fruits of adult scrutiny and skepticism. It had something really clever. Instead of trying to usurp my original memories, it nestled itself right beside them. It has become their equal, and I fail to draw any real point of comparison besides the most superficial ones. Prince of Persia, as I once known it, is dead, and in its place, something new has blossomed. Like a thistle, your most primal memories prick against the new. But instead of cutting them down, let new memories nestle in their place and find their deserving home inside your mind. The seeds will grow and spring shall blossom thorns in its fervent glory. And when winter comes and your mind decays, it's those thorns that will keep your dying body warm. So grow, blossom.